All right, welcome back to the Roundtable Dolphins podcast. This is episode number 32. I totally forgot to do this last time. So please, everybody, if you like what you hear, go like, share, subscribe, do all the social media things. It really helps us out with exposure, all that good stuff. Also, the official Roundtable Dolphins site will be in the description of this video. Please go join that. There's news, analysis. This podcast lives there as well as on YouTube and all that stuff. Again, it really helps us out. We've been doing this for months now at this point, and it's been fun. But yeah, help us out with that exposure thing. We have a lot to get into, a lot to talk about. Yeah, we're gonna just jump right into this. So the Dolphins had their first joint practice of the preseason with the Washington Commanders, and while things weren't the best, they weren't also terrible, which is good. That's a good sign. But Malik Willis started to show off a little bit more of his skill set. He was on the run multiple times due to the failing protection from his offensive line. Um, we talked about this, and honestly, like there was a lot of worries about Malik Willis in general. We know that because 6 NFL starts. He's still a younger quarterback, in terms of his career thus far, even though he's been in the league for now 5 years. I think it is. This is his fifth year, I believe. Um,
Think so.
it might be sixth, but I think this is his fifth year. I could be wrong.
He was drafted by the Titans in 2022.
Yeah, so this will be his fifth year. Anyway, there was some worries about Malik Willis, but he's got really strong arm. He's got wheels. Obviously, we know that. They've been Jeff Halfley and the coaching staff has made it a point to make him throw in training camp as opposed to using his legs. But he did have to use that in 11-on-11 drills against the Washington Commanders. They have a very good defensive front, so that's obviously a credit to them. But at the same time, this points to a different worry in that his offense needs to help him out. You know what I mean? Like the offensive line is there to protect Malik Willis so that he can plant his feet and make those throws downfield. Malik Washington and Caleb Douglas have become the favorites for him. And Caleb Douglas also put together some impressive plays yet again. But simply put, Malik Willis is doing really well. He's done very well in OTAs and mini camp. Fast forward to training camp, he's done very well. I honestly think that he's going to do pretty well with the Dolphins, but it comes to the point where they need to put the pieces around him, and this is something that we've talked about previously. In that they have a weak wide receiver room, we know this, and not to say that those guys cannot elevate themselves and become better, but right now the surrounding cast on the offense minus Devon Achane, not that great.
Yeah, just reading about that joint practice, I was a bit like, I heard about, the pick six because Malik Washington wasn't where he was supposed to be and him having to run a lot because of the pocket collapsing. And those are not positive signs. Those are not things that you want to hear. But, the Commanders have been a great team the last couple of years, and Jaden Daniels is just getting back. So that's not something that people need to like completely panic about, like that it was going to be that way. And it is just joint practice, like as much as it is kind of the first simulation, if you will, of an NFL game, like people are still being mindful of their health and their bodies and things. But I heard Malik Willis is set to play in the preseason opener.
Yeah, so Jeff Halfley did say that. He said that previously. He said that a couple of media sessions ago. He said that he expects that he's expecting every player is going to be ready to play. But then he spoke on what's today? Friday, Thursday.
Today's Thursday.
He spoke on Wednesday ahead of the joint practice and said that that Malik Willis, he's expecting Malik Willis to play, but things can change. I again going back to our conversation on our other pod about this, I think they should play. I think you got to get them out there. But more importantly, on Jeff Halfley's part, I brought this up in the other pod, but I'll bring it up now. Jeff Halfley said that they're a young team, so they need to get out there in a live game setting, and I fully agree with that. This roster is, as obviously with the joint practice proves, very rough around the edges in terms of like live game setting. Obviously, you can do only so much in training camp. You're playing against your own teammates, and you may be tackling and you're thudding up, but you're not really doing a whole lot. Now you get to see what they can really do in a live game setting, and I think you got to get the ones out there, the ones that are not hurt, mind you, to get out there. And even if it's for a series, even if it's whatever it's for, Jeff Halfley did say also that it depends on how many snaps they get. So if they get like 30 to 40 snaps in a practice setting, would it make sense them for them to go out and get like 10 snaps or whatever it was that he equated it to? But the expectation is starters will be playing, including Malik Willis.
Yeah, I think that's good for this young team. And also because Malik Willis is kind of the only, not the only one, but like one of the only newer players on the team that is kind of got that experience behind his back and has played in meaningful games, in the NFL. And so I think that it's really good sign that he can be, as much as everything around him is maybe collapsing, he can be the center of it all. He seems to be pulling these guys up on things, giving them words of encouragement, setting the standard. I think he was the right pick for this team. I don't think that anyone
Mhm.
needs to kind of doubt, Malik Willis's ability. I think and it's a really good sign, see him grinding away out there, using his legs, doing what he can do, not giving up on plays, not sulking, not throwing the ball, not getting mad, that's a good sign of character. And I think that, just having those preseason games and maybe just getting into things with his team should be a good, way to start. I think he should. I think that they should kind of get those number ones out there, especially if you don't anticipate the season really becoming anything in the long run. You're not expecting a playoff run, you're not expecting a Super Bowl win. Why not just give those guys a little bit of extra playing time? I can understand for Malik Willis, but especially, a lot of the starters I think should be out there just, getting back to that. And not Devon Achane, keep that guy off the field, please. As
Yeah,
much as possible.
yeah. I mean, yeah. It just, I mean, Jeff Halfley has been, as we've said, just very intentional and very forthcoming about how he wants to run this team. And again, I think it's very smart of him to just want to get the players out there. And I think all the players want to get out there too, because you're a young team that's being counted out every which way possible. And not that you're going to be like showing everybody what's what in preseason, because you may or may not even be playing against the ones against anybody for multiple weeks. But the point being is you need to see what they're like in a true live game setting, because even joint practices you're still not fully tackling because you can't, you don't want to injure anybody, so you need to get that live game feeling in for everybody. And so just get them out there, see what they can really do. And
Yeah.
this is the time to iron out those concerns, or really like look at what you have or don't have. And that's really going to be important for the Dolphins, because as we said multiple times, if you have a offensive line issue, go address it. They did that with Wallace. They just traded for Wallace with the Patriots because their offensive line depth, or their tackle depth, sucks. And we talked about this too. Charlie Heck got manhandled for the most part by everybody on the Dolphins defense. And so, there's you got to get out there is the point. You have to get out there. I'm fully on board with them playing again, like not obviously playing like a full game. You don't need that, but like a quarter, a few
Yeah.
series, sure.
Just feeling the clock, feeling what it feels like to be, time's so important. It can get away from you really quickly. Just,
Yeah.
I think that just having those like P's and Q's ironed out before you get on the field would be the right thing to do, especially for this team that is young and scrappy and hungry. Not
Yeah.
throwing out the Lin-Manuel Miranda lyric.
But they are,
Mhm.
I was gonna say a lyric, but I just totally forgot. I mind blanked on that one. But
No,
um,
no. We're turning this into a musical
I
episode.
know,
Let's
right?
go.
And funny enough, I don't like musicals, but like Hamilton is fantastic. I know I don't. I'm sorry. Anyway,
I
moving
can
on.
give you some recommendations.
So, moving right along, but as you're saying, as you just said, this team is young and scrappy, and that youth movement appears to be holding strong. The first unofficial depth chart came out, and there are multiple rookies that are now in prime starting positions. Again, this is the outset of preseason. This is the beginning of it. This can change. Even Jeff Halfley said, if you're worried about your depth position right now, that's kind of a stupid worry, because you can work yourself up and down, whatever the case may be. But as we know, Caleb Douglas has been balling out, and he's becoming the number one target for Malik Willis. He is now in a starting position, as well as linebacker Troy Moore, as well as Jacob Rodriguez. But interestingly enough, Jacob Rodriguez is an or. So for people that may not know, may don't look at depth charts, what happens is if you have two players that are kind of at equal footing, you put that player or that player, meaning one or the other will get that starting job or will be the starter for however many snaps they go out there. So Tyrell Dodson or Jacob Rodriguez is a really interesting thing to pay attention to in this preseason game. Is he going to outpace Dodson? Is Dodson really going to lose his starting position? It could happen. Jacob Rodriguez has been flying around the field during training camp. He's been ripping the ball out of Devon Achane's hands. He's been doing everything that he can. He lined up with the ones alongside Jordan Brooks at the end of training camp, and he's a damn good football player on pay. I mean, just from training camp looks and all that. Now you got to see what he can do in a live game setting again, like everybody else. But that and then also fellow linebacker Trey Moore is also above Willie Gay Jr. But Willie Gay, I think, is dealing with an injury. Regardless, Moore has been kind of the starter as well. Alongside Jordan Brooks and Tyrell Dodson and or Jacob Rodriguez. So very, very interesting. Zane Anderson is right there in the safety position. The youth movement is right now. I mean, that's not to say that these guys are going to go out there and just be absolute dynamos on the field, but as we've said, as Jeff Halfley has said, and John Eric Sullivan has said, this team wanted to get younger and cheaper, and they want to be physical, and that's exactly what they're doing, and they're doing it with really young, talented players.
I think that this is why the Dolphins are one of the most exciting teams to watch. Not for any win or lose reason, but just because there's so much going on and anyone can kind of win those positions. And I think it is the positives of kind of having gotten rid of those veterans, if you want to look at it in a positive light, is like, when these guys are coming into the facility, they've not got like stars in their eyes. There's no one really, other than the people who obviously, don't want to downplay the veterans that have been there. But especially for the receivers, they're not coming into one where Waddle's there or Hill's there. They get to come in and be the guy. So you can kind of break out and be the star. And I think it's positive news on John Eric Sullivan's front that he seems like he has found people in the draft that are valuable to him and his team. It shows something about his talent and what he's spotting and, his ability to manage this team going forward. So, yeah, I mean, when's the first game? It's
Friday.
tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Friday, yeah. So we're gonna see a lot from these young, and I'm excited. I love to see like a young breakout come through. And Caleb Douglas we spoke about him last week. Everyone had really positive words about him. I was being a little bit cynical about it. I said maybe it's just because there's not much going on around him, but I'm still excited to see what he can do and go up against some tough players in the coming weeks because we know that Dolphins schedule is tough.
Yeah. And again, excuse me. Yeah, now we get to see. Now is game time. Now we get to see again, and you're going to see all these young guys out there for sure. Regardless if the older veterans or starters or whatever play a little bit of time, the young guys are going to be out there. So Zane Anderson is undrafted safety, and now he's in a starting safety position. I will say this: I'm worried still about the secondary because I mean, look, you're going against Jaden Daniels, and it's Jaden Daniels, and that guy can
Yeah.
he's going to pass all over you if you give him the opportunity. And I mean, Michael Taff did have a great pass breakup, but other than that, he pretty much had his way with that secondary, which was to be expected because Storm Duck is out, Darrell Baker Jr. is out. I forgot who else is out.
I think Chris Johnson, Juju Brents,
Juju
Dante
Brents,
Trader
yeah,
Jim went there.
yeah, Juju
So
Brents is out. It's just right now. It's exactly what I've been saying for months at this point. The secondary is just not. It's not where it's supposed to be. I fully expect that the Dolphins are going to go get somebody, Trayvon Diggs, get somebody, a veteran. I know you don't want to go and get out and get some old guy or whatever. However, Sullivan looks at it, but you cannot go into the regular season with a secondary like this. And it's going to show. That's going to show immediately in preseason. And if you are just getting passed on all day long, doesn't matter, especially if you're getting passed on with your starters versus the second, third, and whatever players on all those other teams, you have a major problem. And this is exactly what happened in 2025 when all those guys got hurt. And then they got Rasul Douglas and Jack Jones. And now Rasul Douglas is gone. Funny enough, he's on the Commanders. So, there you go.
and that's who they're playing. First
That's who,
preseason game.
and that's who they're playing. So I don't know if he's going to play or not. But regardless, like, this was the biggest worry for me, and now it's just showing itself again because the injuries and depth and everything in between is just the secondary is a pain point. Again, it's for me, it's like once Xavier Howard went down and was just kind of like not there anymore. I feel like it just kind of crumbled, and it's still like that, and I feel like the current cornerback room issues are what they were having with the offensive line, where they just didn't quite put enough in there, and for some reason, they just let it be what it was. So that's what I'm seeing right now, and yeah,
It's not good.
it's
I mean,
not.
that's not what you can't. The thing is I've said this and I've been worried about the defense for a very long time.
Mhm,
I've been saying that that offense is all going to rely on them. They're going to have to put up points after points after points simply just to keep
mhm.
the other team's offense off the field and running the clock down with the running. But that's how you do that. So, like, I see the vision. I don't know how long it's going to last for them.
Right.
But yeah, the secondary not good in that joint. But again, don't want to be too dramatic about it because it is just what it is. It is just,
Yeah.
joint practice. Preseason games, we might get a little bit more of the look, but I don't think we're going to see anything until week one. And who are they playing week one again? The Raiders? I mean,
Yeah, I mean it's not the worst
it's
opening
Fernando
opponent.
Mendoza.
Well, it's not gonna be, but it's gonna be Kirk Cousins for sure. But
Yeah,
I think he's gonna play well until like I don't know, maybe mid-season until they bench him for sure. Unless he's playing out of his mind, then of course they won't. But yeah, I
he's got
mean,
something to prove.
yeah, yeah. But rolling right along with the injury train because now things are just not looking great right now on that front. Zach Sieler is now injured as well. Jeff Halfley did not say what it is. He has not said what anybody's injury is. I guess that's going to be his MO moving forward. Is he just going to give like a timeline? And Zach Sieler is now week to week with some injury, which really, really timing wise sucks because you're staring down the barrel of week one, and week to week is never a good indication that you're going to be healthy soon-ish. Day to day, sure, week to week. I mean, that it could mean this week to next week, but I don't know. Nobody knows what happened, but Zach Sieler's hurt. It poses a good opportunity for Zeke Biggers, which we talked about months ago, I think, at this point. Zeke Biggers and Jordan Phillips, they all like slim down so they can be more mobile, so they can be better at their job. And right now it's Kenneth Grant or Jordan Phillips. And then I think one of those guys could also move over to the right defensive tackle position, or they put Zeke Biggers there and Zeke can see what he does. But right now, Zach Sieler is hurt. So again, a really key player. Right now, the secondary is decimated with injuries, and now you have one of your defensive leaders and one of your most important defensive players in general is now hurt. And I don't know what it is that he got hurt with.
Yeah, there's not really much to to digest on that one because I mean, what was there like footage from practice or something about it? It's just like a complete mysterious. Yeah, I don't know. I
Well,
guess we'll,
it,
we'll
it
find
was
out what that is.
it was out of left field because Halfley was just like, "Oh yeah, Zach Sealer's week to week," and I was like, "Whoa, what?"
Since
Like,
when?
yeah, like but that's the thing. He's like every morning there seems to be somebody like that, like Juju Brents kind of came out of nowhere, and
Yeah.
he's hurt, and like everybody else is just hurt, but like there's no information from Halfley about what it is that they're hurt with, and I don't know if that's because he doesn't really want to like speak too soon or whatever. Even with Storm Duck and Darrell Baker, well, Storm Duck is a knee injury that we knew from 2025, and then Darrell Baker, it's like a lower body injury. Halfley said that, but those guys, who
Hmm.
knows when they're going to be back? He said at some point during the season. So that's all we got.
It's
So
just not what you want to hear right now. Like, that's not helpful information. I mean, it might be a tactic. It might be like, we don't want to let other teams know what's going on here.
mhm.
Like, but again, fine, like you can do that, but no one's scared anyway. Like, I'm really sorry to say, like, no one's planning around these things. I know that, like, you don't want to go into the season looking hurt or looking, depleted in any way, shape, or form, but it is helpful to have that information, not even just to make our jobs easier, but, just for
Mhm.
fans, all of this kind of stuff. So, I mean, I'm hoping it's not that serious. I think that there probably would have been something that gone into a little bit more detail. What day was it he got hurt?
Sealer?
Hmm.
It was just right before the joint practice. That's when Halfley had said that he's week to week, and so I
Maybe
don't
he just
know.
don't want to play in.
No,
Maybe they're just trying to keep him under the radar. They're like,
no,
don't get out there and injure
he
yourself.
definitely would not say week to week if there was not something serious going on or
Yeah,
significant enough. But yeah, I mean, I'll
we'll
say
find
this.
out.
Yeah, I'll say this because I wrote it, and I firmly believe this too. Is like at least it's right now as opposed to it being
Yeah.
down the line when week one's approaching. If he's week to week now, he still has like 3 weeks ish to get healthy and be ready for week one. And again, you never want to rush your veteran players back or any player back from an injury. You let them heal and then you bring them back out. That's the thing here is the management of this roster is going to be really, really important. And I know everyone keeps saying it. I hate hearing it honestly, but it's like you're not going to be judging this season on wins or losses. I don't think you can because this team is so young. Like if they rise to the occasion, fantastic. If they don't, you're looking at that improvement in like every position group and seeing like are they fighting? Who's really going to be the guy? Like is there going to be like more of that youth movement? But wins are wins. So if they get wins, awesome. We'll see what happens. But
Well, we've spoken about people's needs to be the next, like, it's just a cliche saying, but the next guy up is it has to be across the team. Everyone has to be ready to go. Like injuries happen, things happen during the season, before the season, whatever. Like it's an opportunity for Biggers or Phillips, whoever comes up behind him to just show like we got this, we can do it. So like, I mean, it's their job to kind of show up and do it anyway. It's just obviously not the news that you want to hear, especially right now. Because even though, yes, there are 3 weeks, I mean, it's a month today, I think, or just under a month today, the opening Sunday. I don't know. I'm confident it's probably not anything too dramatic. A lot of injuries have been happening around the league. And hey, David Ajabo's on the team. I trust the guy.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, it's better to get hurt now than it is to get hurt like down the line. Just
Absolutely.
heal up, and be ready for the start of the regular season, and everything will be a-okay. Um, but speaking of better news, or rather more funny news, I guess you would call it. Jeff Halfley was on the Rich Eisen show making some jokey jokes about how he's gonna utilize Devon Achane, which, as we know, he was already gonna do so because Devon Achane is Devon Achane. He's one of the best running backs in the entire league. He's magic with the ball in his hands. We know this. We know that the Dolphins are gonna try to be a run first team for obvious reasons because of the wide receivers and everything going on. Yada yada. But he was joking and said that he told Devon Achane that he better be ready, that he doesn't want to see him give up. And he said, yeah, after 40 or 45 touches, I hope that I don't have to carry him off the field. And, he had a good laugh with Rich Eisen, but I don't think he's joking. I don't think he's joking in the sense of, obviously, I don't think you're going to get 40 touches out of anybody. If you can, sure, but I don't know in terms of like longevity and health if that's going to be the smartest thing to do. But just looking back at 2025, Devon Achane had 238 carries in 16 games, so that's almost 15 carries per game. That's what he was at in 2025. If you're trying to go 40, that is a huge difference. But I'll say this. You can probably up that number by a significant amount. I would say 10 maybe. Maybe he's going to be 20 to 25 touches per game, which if you're getting 5.1 or 5.7 yards per carry, if he's still doing that, hell yeah, keep running the damn ball as long as he stays healthy.
I mean, this is what I've been saying since Halfley and everyone came in. This is what I don't think it's a joke at all. I really believe that that's the game plan is run them down, exhaust the defense, keep offenses off the field. That's the game plan this year. And I'll be surprised if it ends up any other way. It's not just him that they can utilize. We've been talking about Ollie Gordon. We've been talking about Jalen Wright. These are people that can show up and out on the team, as well as and carry that load alongside him because Achan will be needing a break. If that really is the plan, he will be needing to have some sideline time. And Malik Willis as well, he's a great threat. It's just like none of that works if your offensive line isn't doing what they need to do. And right now it's not looking good for them. But if that's the game plan and that really then they better sharpen up that line is all I'm going to say. Someone needs to go shopping around and see who's left and kind of bring some veteran presences in there. But yeah, he may be joking, but I'm not seeing the joke. I'm not laughing because I think
yeah. So with the carries and then with the targets, because as we know, Devon Achane's a dual threat back. It was 305. So that divided by 16 games was 19. Essentially 19 touches per
Double
game.
those numbers.
I mean, 19, like I said, 20 to 25, I think that's very viable as long as he stays healthy. But like you just said, you have Ollie Gordon there, you have Jalen Wright there. So if he's feeling gassed out, yeah, put those guys in. He's going to be doing the brunt of the work like he did in 2025 anyway. Those guys, collectively got about 500 yards, and Devon Achane was the rest. So, everyone's been saying, what is the identity? And multiple of the offensive linemen were like, we want to run it down your throat. We want to be physical. Okay, well,
Yeah.
now it's your turn to show that. It's now your turn as the offensive line to bully some people out of the way so Devon Achane can use his speed and skill, shoot that gap, and just take the hell off. So that's your job now. Obviously, again, be in joint practice. Maybe, I don't know, you're rusty, you're whatever, live game setting isn't quite there. But if you're getting beat up in a live game setting in preseason and you're the starters and your backups and third stringers and whoever's out there and you're still getting beat up on the offensive line, you have a major, major problem.
Yeah. And I know that we've been speaking about them maneuvering Malik Willis into being more of a passer or just focusing on those. I don't see why we're doing that. I think utilize that run, get some design plays in there for him. And I'm sure they have them. I'm sure they, are under the sleeve for when they want to come. But if your pocket collapses, if your offensive line is not doing a job, the best thing Malik Willis can do is learn how to, come out of those situations and just and play Superman. I'm hoping that they can be there and they can be there for Devon Achane to be able to do his job, but it's right now the evidence is not there to suggest that. Again, we probably are just being a bit harsh, and I'm sure after the first preseason game, our minds will be put to rest just a little bit. I hope so, at least. But yeah, it's a sticky situation right now.
Yeah. Again, these are the times in which you're supposed to be rough around the edges, especially a team that is so
Yeah.
new collectively. So again, it's preseason. We can't be like, oh, they're terrible or whatever. Not saying that we're saying anybody's terrible, but the glaring issues are there right now. You can see them. If they continue throughout preseason, then you know exactly what's going on. The secondary
Yeah,
is
and
going
teams coming up against you are going to know how to exploit that, and it's just is not what the look. You don't want to be consistently bad at the same thing because it's just the thing that's going to get picked apart.
Yeah, if the secondary is getting carved up, the secondary's weak. If the offensive line is collapsing too many times and Malik Willis has to use his legs, the offensive line needs help. So there's going to be a lot of tougher conversations to be had in these coming weeks. And Sullivan's probably going to have to bring in some more competition or whatever, veteran players. I don't know, but you can't go into the regular season with not doing anything about it. And thus far, they've been kind of good about that.
Hmm.
We'll see. I mean, like I said, Caden Wallace was just brought in via trade. Um, we'll see. I hope that they bring in another cornerback, especially because of all these injuries. Yeah, I don't know.
Even into the season, we might see some mid-season moves. It might just take a little while to get there, but I think, they're going to do something because they're going to have to do something eventually. They don't want to be, even if you get halfway through the season, you've won like worst case scenario 1 to 2 games. You still want to set yourself up for next season. So I'm sure they'll be making moves in as and when things come up. But yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. But yeah, preseason game is tomorrow. We will be back next week to talk all about that preseason game, what we saw, what we liked, what we didn't like. Again, if it's the starters versus the backups or whatever for Washington and the secondary gets carved up or the offensive line just crumbles, yeah, then
Yeah, then you can hit the panic button. Feel safe to do it.
yeah,
But
then
right now, not right now.
yeah, we'll dive a little deeper into that. But who knows? Maybe Malik Willis just goes out there and just goes ham and everything goes well or whatever. But again, it's still preseason. We're not judging. If they win, doesn't matter if they win. Just we're judging how the units look, who
Yeah.
looks, how certain players look. Again, like we were just talking about, Caleb Douglas, is he still balling out? Does Jacob Rodriguez look like the guy? There's so many different things to be looking at. Like you said, it's exciting because this team is full of so many unknowns, and now you get to see it full on starting tomorrow. But
Can't
thank you
wait.
guys. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will be back again next week. Again, please share, like, subscribe if you like what you hear. Official Dolphins Roundtable site is in the description of this video. We will be back next week to talk all about preseason football.